got our central playlist.
Oh, babe, what's that?
We like even if we're not about to jump into the bedroom, we like candles a lot. We put incense on a lot.
I'm blushing.
On today's episode of Self Tom, we've got my beautiful girlfriend Dom here, and we go through a whole range of questions that you, the audience, have asked us. We get deep on things that we've experienced in the past. Someone mentioned pet peeves, which is hilarious because they're nunks. I love Dom so much. And we go through even dating apps and where to meet people, and should girls ask guys out or should it be solely on the guy? And we go through a whole range of topics. It's really fun, interesting, and I think could bring some value. So we hope you enjoy this episode. Welcome back to Self Tom, beautiful people. I'm here with a really special guest today. It's my ride or die. It's my forever girl. It's my baby, Dominique Lissa. Hello, baby. Welcome down.
Welcome to the podcast. You have to travel really far today.
I know. It's like catching the bus and everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How are you, baby?
I'm good. I'm happy. I'm excited to be here, be on your podcast again. I loved it so much last time.
Yeah, it was one of the most popular episodes. Don't mean to give you a big head.
You know what is fun is sometimes we play a card game. Is Esther Perel? And it's asking each other questions. And this was a little bit like asking each other unique and different questions when people sent questions in. So we got to know more about each other and have some fun. So I'm excited to do it again today.
Yeah, that's actually so true. But the questions are not Esther Perel's. They're from you guys, the Self-Dom community. So I'm so thankful for all of your questions. But I wanted to start with my own question, which was, I would love to know your response to me going off the birth control pill, because I obviously speak about it a lot on the podcast, but I think it'd be really interesting to get your point of view as my partner on what's changed.
Well, I guess firstly, I love that you do what you feel is right for your body. So whatever you choose, I'll always support. So I'm excited that you've made a decision, you stuck to it. And I think that emotionally, personality, I haven't really seen much change. I think you came off it in February.
Yeah.
I think we've been really solid and really, I feel like you've been grounded, and there hasn't been any sort of massive ups and downs. It's been really nice. I think, I don't know if it's too much information. But,
Don't, no.
Oh, no, not too much information.
Wait, no, don't say anything about the bedroom.
Okay. Bedroom's good. And yeah, it's been, I love it. I think that I'm proud of you for doing that, and I support you, and I think that our relationship's as rock solid as ever. So rock and roll.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about it on my walk this morning, and I was thinking that since I have gotten off the pill, even though I personally feel like a few adverse reactions like my skin, and I recently saw a naturopath and she was saying how I've got chronic inflammation and gut issues, which are probably linked to being on the birth control for so long. So they're personal things that I'm dealing with. You've been so supportive. You're like, okay, we're getting Brazil nuts sent to the house. We're doing this. We're getting it all correct. But I also thought that since that time I went off the pill, our relationship has definitely grown stronger. And I think it's because the pill made me a little bit more kind of rigid and planned. Whilst I feel like since I've gone off the pill, I'm a bit more soft and a bit more feminine.
You do. I can absolutely agree with that. You do feel softer and feminine, and I love it.
Yeah. So that's was my question. I was very interested to see what you had to say. So now
I've got a question for you.
Oh.
Who do you love more out of me and Crumble? No, spit it out. I want the answer right now. Me?
Yeah.
You hear that, Crumble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
But I also love Crumble, for the record. All right. So the first question is Tom's view on girls making the first move and the if he wanted to, he would theory.
I'm a huge advocate for the if he wanted to, he would theory. I think I say that a lot. Yeah, guys have to be and girls have to be in that headspace where they want to go to the next steps. And I think when someone, shows you their stripes, you should absolutely listen to them. So if she wanted to, they would. And it's sometimes it's really tough advice, and people just have to acknowledge that and then use that to grow and move forward, and not sort of stew on what could possibly be. So I'm all for that. And girls making the first move, yeah, whatever.
Really?
Go, 100%. Go and say hello. It's You know what I find interesting is that often it takes people a really long time to be their comfortable self around others. And so it's actually quite hard to get to know who someone truly is unless you spend a little bit of time with them. And so in saying that, a guy can be quite a confident guy in everyday life and have his friendship circles and his works going on. But maybe he hasn't spent a lot of time building up the confidence to go and walk up to a girl and be like, hey, what's going on? You know, you go up to, if a guy goes up to a girl a handful of times, different girls, and gets really cold-blooded responses, it can really shut a man down from wanting to go up and introducing himself. And so I see no reason why girls can't reciprocate and go and say hello. It doesn't have to be, it can always just be a friendly, like, I love walking past people and going, hey, you know, how you going?
So you're hitting on people?
Nah, just like,
You're with me.
I think that society as a whole should interact more, socialize more, rather than everybody is isolated. Like my friend used to have a shirt that would say, is it strangers are friends you just haven't met yet? And I think that we should be kinder to each other, and totally, girls should absolutely go up and say hello to a guy. It makes a guy's day. You know, the harshest response I heard that a friend got, I was actually there. He went up to a girl and goes, he said something like, oh, hey, how you doing? And she goes, yeah, good, thanks. And then he went to just like keep walking and goes, oh, what's your name? And she goes, busy.
Oh,
And then kept on going on with her shit. And it's like,
that's so hard.
I know, but that one was funny, but it can really hurt a person's confidence. So you want to break down barriers and get to know people rather than think, oh, if he's not going to come up to me, then I shouldn't even bother talking to him, or I shouldn't put the effort in to go and say hello.
I think as well, what we always talk about is that you want to meet your partner in an environment where you can see they have similar interests. So at a gym class or on a walk. And those are times when people are probably a bit hesitant to introduce themselves, but those are the type of people you want to meet. So I guess putting your best self forward, it can make it really casual. You never know where it's going to go. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for it too. I first wasn't, only because of stories I've heard from my friends and just the games, and that you kind of need to play the games to be in there. But if you want to attract someone who is looking for something serious, they won't mind if you make the first move.
Yeah, absolutely. But then also building that social awareness, where if the person's doing something and it's clearly not the right time to go up and say hello, then, you know, you got to read their body language and see if they feel like they're open, and maybe start with something that's not leading towards locking into a conversation, like something passing, like, oh, it's a really nice shirt. And if she says something like, oh, thank you so much, it's really kind of you, then it's like maybe it's an intro to keep communicating. If she just looks at you and goes, thanks.
But this is a girl asking a guy.
I know, but I think it kind of works both ways. You know, sometimes us guys just need a bit of space. You can pretty much always go up to a guy and he'll love it.
This is a girl asking that.
I know, but it should work both ways. But generally, I would say guys absolutely love that. It's nice to have someone come up and say hello to you.
Yeah. What about a little like on the story?
Oh,
You know, when girls like the story, that's 2024 now.
yeah,
That's like literally a conversation with me and my girlfriends. Like, do I like his story?
yeah.
Like, that's actually what it is.
Instagram's basically a dating app.
I think you can
nowadays.
like his story, but he should slide into the DMs. Like, if you've liked it a few times.
Yeah. I don't know. I think you can.
Too old for this.
Yeah, I'm a bit old for Instagram advice.
The next question, which actually links, is what's the age difference?
Between you and I,
6 years.
6 years. Yeah. I mean, right now it's actually
6.
just 5 years.
No, I'm 29. You're 35.
Yeah, 6 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 6 years, and I absolutely love it. I think
it's a really good age gap.
it's a really good age. I've said it once, I've said it 100 times. If you're looking for a guy, a sweet spot is definitely in their sort of early 30s, mid 30s is great. It's really tough to it's just so common for guys in their 20s not to be fully developed, know who they are, know what they want, feel comfortable enough to then be like, all right, this is me, I'm grounded, I'm going to open up my eyes to possibly a forever partner. But from what I see, I notice guys reach out to me a little bit, and they say, because I help people a bit with investing, and I'll notice guys around the 29, 30-year-old mark come up to me and say, hey, mate, I was wondering if I could pick your brain. I want to get started. I've never really started to put money aside, and I wanted to, start to get to a place where I can provide for a family and sort of be a man that is able to, provide. And that's generally, I get that a lot around the 29, 30-year-old mark. And I think if a guy's probably not at the space where he's like thinking ahead that far, then he's probably not ready. So, I mean, just linking it back to our age difference, 6 years is pretty perfect.
Yeah. All right. The next question is, how do you keep the love alive?
So we make a lot of time where we allocate date nights a lot.
We are organized. Like we have a calendar which says, even if it's at home, it's like date night at home, or we'll be like, okay, this afternoon we're going to walk Crumble to the beach, no phones, but it's planned and it doesn't take any spontaneity out of our relationship, because I think people think to keep the love alive, it needs to be spontaneous. But I actually think to keep the love alive, you have to plan to hang out, because otherwise life gets the better of us.
We also like putting on music. We've got our central playlists.
Oh, babe, what's that?
We like even if we're not about to jump into the bedroom, we light candles a lot. We put incense on a lot. We get we get haircut, we
get haircut.
I know, but so for me,
what do you mean we get a haircut? You get a haircut.
But so as a guy, I didn't realize the importance until I met Dom of really, making sure that you present yourself nicely. Like you shouldn't get to a place where you're like going out for your night out with your girlfriend or boyfriend, where I've got absolutely nothing wrong with trackies. Make yourself as comfortable as you want, but there should be periods where you put your best foot forward. Like get a nice haircut, go get your bronze on, wear something nice, get some new clothes, because you want the person to, if you were going on a first, second, third, 10th date with someone, you would put the effort in. And so when you stop putting the effort in, the person can feel that you're not putting the effort in.
I think that's
suddenly
huge.
you start to, and we also we've also sort of set boundaries as well. Like we've got our own bathrooms, which is nice.
That's a luxury.
Dom doesn't fart around me, which is nice. It keeps a bit of romance. But we do have the boundary. Like we generally try to keep our business stuff as separate as possible. Like one of the first things we said to each other was, I said, I don't want to become the boyfriend of boyfriends of Instagram, where it's like, oh baby, we got to shoot this today, and it's like, and then it's like, it sort of takes away from the romance when when your girlfriend's bossing you around on how to take the photo, or when the guy's like doing whatever. Like, so we try to separate certain things, make time for things, and put our best foot forward.
I think I wanted to touch on 2 points there. The first point about looking presentable for each other, I think we love each other so much. So when we're in our home space, we might be in trackies, more comfortable, but there's something so special about when we go on a date, we both put in the effort and make it feel more special. We both listened to this incredible episode that Stephen Bartlett had, like a dating coach on, and he talks about there's these few things that you can do that will make you feel better and that you become more attractive in the dating space. And we took those little things into our life because it's important. As people are asking, like, how do you keep the love alive? How do you keep the spark alive? You got to put that energy into yourself. And when you feel confident in yourself and you're working out, as you said, you get a haircut, maybe you get a new outfit, that confidence creates this fun energy that you can bring to the dates.
Yeah. And I think also for guys recognizing that women are quite sensual and energetic in what attracts them. So if you go and put the incense on, if you have a specific cologne, or like I've got a moisturizer company, an e-commerce product. It's called Bull Organics, and I wear it a lot. And then I remember one time Dom and I were in bed, and she goes, "Hey, can you go and put your moisturizer on?" And so I was like, yeah, of course. So I went out and put the moisturizer on, and it has this manly scent, like a sandalwoody scent that she's attracted to. And it's like, oh, that's my, I can smell my man there. So I think guys noticing that, just being conscious of what women are attracted to or what can get them, feeling a bit of love is things like candles, ambiance, making sure the house is tidy, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I think since we had that conversation, which was probably at the beginning of the year, you've really stepped up. You always look well presented. Um, yeah, I feel like you've really. Tom's really
She
good.
runs a tight ship, I tell you what.
No, you're really good at, like, when I ask something, you definitely take it on board. I do want to talk about the Instagram thing because I think that's quite a common thing. Like, if you're in the influencer space and your partner takes your photos, in saying that, when I'm in Sydney, I'll always get help from people I hire to take content rather than getting Tom. I think that's been really good in our relationship because we don't have the phone around. When we go for dinner, it's never about taking content or photos. We'd rather just pay for the dinner than collaborate personally. We're in a financial position where we can. So we're lucky we can do that. I think that's been a really important part of our relationship that I've loved. But in saying that, when we were in Europe this year, obviously I had no one else to help me take content. And Tom was amazing. We communicated. He was like, okay, if you say this part of the trip, I'm going to give you 1 hour and we do it properly instead of like before a meal. Then we took content and you were so good, took instructions. You were so creative. You got super into it. So it's not a not helping each other out thing. It's just setting boundaries when we need to.
Exactly, yeah. If you're ever stuck, I'll always be
Yeah.
there. And that happens every now and again. And I actually really love taking photos. So it's a bit funny that we have separated that. But another example is on my birthday just recently, Dom took me up to Palm Beach and I was on airplane mode for probably 98% of the trip, unless I was responding to some birthday messages. So and so was Dom. And so it was just Dom, we usually have a film camera. There's no distractions. And that also leads into the separating time for taking the Instagram photos. I'll tell you a quick story. I used to push Instagram a bit, probably like 7 years ago, and I was with my brother and my mum and we're in LA and we were hiking on Runyon Canyon, and I was like, mate, can you take a photo of me here? And he's like, yeah, sure. Took a couple of photos and I looked at it and I was like, oh mate, you know what? You're actually getting the angle wrong. You want to come a bit lower. And he goes, bro, you're ruining the most beautiful moment. Like, it's you, me and mum on a hike. What are you doing right now? And it like rocked me, where from that moment on, when I kept pushing Instagram for like another year, I had my team. It was Sunday. I would sit down, I'd plan it all out, would go and shoot it, I'd write the captions, I'd have everything ready to post. And then it was like, boom, the next 6 days, I don't care if it was the most beautiful place in the entire world, I would not start taking Instagram photos because it does ruin those moments. Those moments are really special.
Oh, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's good that we've set those boundaries. I've never had that with a partner before because, with social media, the more you post, the more you do reap the benefits. You're meant to share everything. But at the end of the day, what's more important is our relationship. So I've really loved that. The next question is, what is an area you truly have witnessed the other evolve in during your time together?
Like we mentioned at the start of the podcast, you've been really soft and feminine lately.
Mm.
And I think you're sitting into a place of relaxing into life and knowing that there's, always going to be lots of work and lots of things to do. And I think that you, at the start of the relationship, you had a mindset of, I've got to juice as much as I can. I've got to work so hard. And I think you were a bit worried about, when I have kids and babies, I'm not going to be able to work anymore. And I want to try and squeeze everything in. And it's just not true. You'll be able to, still do your podcast. You have a baby sitting here in a podcast. Like, you'll still be able to get those things done. So instead of trying to rinse as much as you can out of every single day, you've softened a little bit in a way that was really, really important, because overdoing yourself is just going to lead to burnout. That's one area that I love seeing.
It's funny you say that because I feel like, this week I've had, like, last week was a bit crazy and it's
Busiest week this year for you.
Yeah, it was really crazy. And then I got my blood test results with my naturopath and she's like, you're running off your adrenals and stuff. And I'm thinking, I think I've been running off my adrenals for like 13 years.
Yeah.
So now I'm kind of having to make up for it, put healthy habits in place. You can be the healthiest person, but if you're running off stress, like, your body is going to become inflamed. And I think I'm learning that now, which I'm grateful I'm learning it now. I think for you, the area that I've seen evolve and change is you're a lot more at peace. I think when we first met, you're a little bit more kind of, well, a bit more stress rigid in your approach to things, like looking at business, life, friendships. And I think now you've really just let go of any control and you're really in a more trusting the universe space. And since you've done that, you've found so many beautiful new friends. I feel like your work's in a really healthy place. You're an amazing support to me. So I think that evolve, I guess it's kind of similar in our journeys where we've both let go a little bit and it's actually been beneficial in all areas.
Yeah. I also think, back on you, was there seems to be a level of purpose has erupted. There's some of the signs in the past week of, the gratitude journals, the kinds of people that are reaching out to the gratitude journals, you can really see how much it's impacting people who really need it. Like, it's an amazing mental health tool. And so combining that with the podcast, it does the same thing. I can feel that you're getting really aligned, so aligned that the universe is dropping little pebbles in front of you for you to keep collecting. So that's been something which has been really special. And so on the podcast thing, I just want to mention that we both did a purpose course about a year and a half ago.
I want to mention that I did the purpose course because Tom did it with a mentor. I did it with him. And then Tom's now learnt how to teach the purpose course.
Yes, I love the purpose course
You were
so
obsessed
much.
with it.
Yeah, what I got out of it was that I'm on so many different levels. There's so much stuff but in trying to summarize it, is that to help try and solve the problem of disconnection in the world. And so usually purpose or passion can come from the shit that you've been through. So if you have had a lot of your life where maybe there's this like constant thread of like, oh, I had to deal with that and it was really hard. Yeah, they were some of the toughest moments in your life. Usually the toughest moments and the trauma can actually lead to you discovering purpose and passion and fire. So one of the things which I was really that I'm the most passionate about is disconnection. I hate the idea that you don't feel connected in your body to yourself, to the people around you, to your friends and family, to what you're doing in life with work, to your creator, whatever that is. So I started hosting community events and getting people down and hosting different courses. But part of it was also, I was like, this purpose course is so special that I want to learn how to teach it to people because it just has so many elements to it. So the guy taught me, so now I know how to teach it to people, which has been cool. So it's just these cool little tricks and tools that you get to open people up and look at themselves in a mirror with so much clarity. And Dom did it as well. And out of the end of it, you got, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah.
And I want to start a podcast to help bring awareness to people. And it's exactly what you're doing, which is just wild to think that you just got some clarity from that. And I think you're contemplating doing the podcast anyway, but it probably gave you the kick that you needed.
I think the one thing that really stood out with that purpose course was, as you said, that your challenges become your superpower. And we watched that show in The Call to Courage by Brene Brown. It's on Netflix. You should definitely watch it. It's just 90 minutes. And it talks about vulnerability and how you need vulnerability to have courage. And in that purpose course, that was honed in a lot. And I guess I always thought my downfall was my past. I didn't want to ever talk about my past. It was my weakness. And now the more open and the more vulnerable I've been with the community and with people in my life and on the podcast, it's only making me feel more connected to everyone and to everything, and most importantly, connected to self, because you haven't had to hide it. You just allow that to be part of your identity. And I think I'm so strong in that every day you can choose the person you want to be. And you have to let go of that connection to who you were, the past version of you. It played a role in becoming your best version now. And yet in that purpose course, you look at different vehicles. And yeah, my vehicle was like personal brand, which I never thought was a vehicle because I thought you have to have a product or a service. Yeah, and I guess like a podcast is a brand. And it's been such a crazy journey since doing that course. I'm forever thankful that you teed that up for me. Yeah.
Well, it's like you. I don't want to go too deep into it, but you learn what your gifts are. And your gifts determine your vehicle. So you really spend a lot of time figuring out. Am I a good listener? Am I a good speaker? Do I like to motivate people? Am I an amazing artist? Am I more of an introvert, extrovert? And then once you figure out your gifts, you determine how to use your gifts. There's no point in having all these amazing gifts and then doing something that doesn't involve those gifts at all. So if yours is personal branding, it would have been something along the lines of, how to create, and how to showcase X, Y, and Z, or communicate with people, or whatever that is. But I'm teaching that course just maybe 3 times a year to small groups of people. So if anyone wants to learn more about it, feel free to reach out to Dom or to myself. I can't recommend this course enough.
Yeah.
It's pretty powerful.
Yeah. So the next one is, how far into dating did you become official?
Pretty quick. Pretty quick.
Well, the thing that I always think about is when you're younger, you become boyfriend and girlfriend. But I feel like when you're older and you're hanging out a lot, you don't really ask that question. What do you think?
I think that our first conversation was around how it's important to, I said to Dom, I was like, yeah, I'm supposed to go on a date, my 3rd date with someone, but I don't think that it's quite right. And I don't want to mess somebody around and lean into dates where I don't feel like it can actually go somewhere. And so I kind of laid out straight away. I was like, yeah, I'm actually looking for somebody and I'm not here to start messing around. So Dom would have known straight away.
No, I didn't.
Well, should have known straight away that if multiple dates meant that I'm in. But our conversation, our first date basically lasted an entire weekend, and we got so deep and had so much. We just really opened up to each other. So I
also want to say we didn't sleep together for 3 months. So when we say we were spending the whole weekend together, it wasn't like what people would assume.
Yeah, it was one of the things that we said was Dom referenced the Lewis Howes podcast.
Because he waited 3 months with his girlfriend.
Yeah, she brought that up, and that's something that I'd actually been thinking about for a while, was just the benefits that can come from connecting first and then sleeping together later. There's the old wives' tale that if you sleep with a guy too soon, he's going to take off. And so it's like, make him wait for a bit and then he'll commit more. It's actually like a chemical thing that happens in your brain. It's like,
as a man?
As a man, as a humans, for us to go to a level of commitment, we need to have an oxytocin spike. And when a guy ejaculates, his testosterone blocks the oxytocin spike. And so if you sleep with a guy on the first night, he ejaculates, his testosterone kicks in, and that stops the oxytocin from going to his brain. And so he falls out of commitment before he gets a chance to commit.
Not always.
No, of course not always, but that's just like
that's a science.
A chemical thing that starts to happen. Whereas when women orgasm, their oxytocin spikes, but there isn't that same testosterone eruption that blocks it. So you guys sleep together on the first night, the woman falls in love, the guy goes, hey, yeah, well, I'm not ready for commitment. And so I wanted to commit. And so I didn't want to just go and shag straight away and have the oxytocin happen.
The word shag kills me. I feel like it shows your age.
I didn't want to have a root and then... But so that's a thing just to keep in the back of your head, that's I saw that on a TED Talk, so you have to go and just double check the facts. But
how long do you think a girl should wait?
Well, so the guy's oxytocin really starts to kick in when he gets to a place of commitment. And so when you notice the guy, when the guy actually feels like, yeah, this is someone that I could settle down with, then the oxytocin spikes happen and then you can sleep together. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to wait at all. Do whatever makes you happy. But it's just something which I'd noticed. When you said that on our first date, I was like, boom, done. Let's do it 3 months.
I know. I've hit myself in the foot. No, it was good. I actually really recommend it if you're in a partnership where you can communicate like that. And I think as well, I'd never met a man who was so, I guess, in tune with his body, and like you have spent so much time researching these things. I'd never met a man like this. And so I think it takes a particular sort of guy to tell them, because I think when I tell most of my guy friends that you waited 3 months, they're like, what?
I mean, you know what it is going to do? It's going to separate immediately the fuckboys from the guys that actually want commitment. And so it might mean that you go through 6 first dates and then maybe you meet someone rather than you go through, 6 second, third dates with people and then the dating that person for a short period and then moving on. Like you're just going to skip a lot of shit.
I think also you have to read the room. Like I don't think most people would say we'll talk about not sleeping together for 3 months on their first date, but we were a bit of a rare occasion.
Maybe it should be less rare.
Yeah, but I was listening to a Jay Shetty podcast about relationships recently, and I found this one statistic so important, so crucial. It was that 41% of people who go into loving relationships didn't find that person attractive at the start.
Wow.
So we were lucky in that sense that we had quite beautiful chemistry, and I wouldn't, like you say, it was love at first sight. I guess like sort of in that
love at fourth sight for dumb, I reckon.
Sort of in that sphere. But I think it's also important to realize as women, I see it all the time. Like you go on a date, and you're like, oh yeah, he was really good, but like, I wasn't that attracted, or he was shorter, or whatever it is. But 41% of healthy relationships, they didn't find each other attractive at the start. So it can grow, and I think we need to give each other more effort, more time, and put importance on communication. Like if you could have a conversation with a guy about not sleeping together for 3 months and just feel really in tune with each other, I think that's a green flag.
I'm gonna. This is just a random thought that popped into my head, and I'm gonna throw you under the bus here. The other, like a couple months ago, the conversation of how long we've been dating got brought up, and I go, "Wow, it's already been a year and a half. Like it feels like just yesterday." And Tom goes, "Really? I feel like we've been together for like 5 years." And I was like, "You fucker."
No, but to be honest, I think with you and I, we've lived together. We have a dog. Like we've done things that, I guess now I'm 29, but been younger in my past relationships. So those things happened far later, but for us, it happened quite quickly. I think as you get older, those things can happen quickly.
Yeah, I'm just playing, baby.
You're just playing. Okay, I like the next question because I'm curious. What is your pet peeve of Dom?
Oh God, let me get my list out.
Oh!
What's my pet peeve? She calls me out a bit. Like she'll say things.
But you love that in the end.
She'll say things like, I think I said this on the last podcast, but it's something which stood out, which helped really well. It's not a pet peeve. What am I talking about? She's really, really direct. I love that. So that's not actually a pet peeve. Okay, let me think for a second. I don't know if there's a pet peeve, because a pet peeve would mean that it annoys me, and I don't really get annoyed at you ever. I guess there's a couple of things which you do which are quite, like, I find funny, but I also find it endearing and that I love, is like if there's like an insect or something in the house, I'll hear like, ah! And my heart rate will go through the roof, and I'll be like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? Like, I've got to perform CPR or something. And then I'll come in and she's like, there's a moth in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God.
We had a moth problem.
We did have a moth problem.
There were so many moths.
And
started with one moth.
Yeah.
The next day, 2 moths.
There's no more moths. And so, but I find that cute. I love that I can go in and take care of the moths. Dom is like, it's her sleep that is probably her sleep and her mornings are the 2 most important things. So when she's going to bed, basically the screens go off at like 7 p.m. There's no more screens. She'll start to wind things down. Maybe she'll light candles, or one of us will light candles, and then it's a really, really step-by-step process. It'll go to getting her comfies on, and then she'll have a cup of tea. I don't think there's been a single night where she hasn't had a cup of tea. She'll pull out her Kindle, and she has to read her Kindle on the couch. It can't be in the bed. So she'll read her Kindle on the couch, and then she'll go, I think we should hop into bed.
And it's like 7:30.
And that's the thing. It's like it's about 7:45 p.m. She'll say, let's go to bed. And then maybe I'm like still wide awake. I'm like, yeah, Kaylee, yeah, we can hop into bed. And then when we hop into bed, it'll be like, she'll be like, can I come in for a cuddle? And I'm like, yeah, come on, baby, come, like let's have a cuddle. And then she goes through the same the same routine of what she says every single
I have to
night,
say-
and so she has to say it. And if I don't say the sort of the same things back, which is our like sort of our dialogue, if I don't say the right dialogue, she goes, "That's not what you're supposed to say." So she'll go, "Can I cuddle you in the night?" And I'll go, "Yes, baby." And she goes, "Anytime?" And I go, "Yeah, you can come in anytime for the rest of your life." And she goes, "You promise?" And I go, "Yeah, baby, I promise." And if I don't say it, the right things back, she'll go,
I'm
"Yeah, she probably are."
dying.
So, and then she'll like roll off from on top of me, and then she will get her eye mask ready to
Wraps
go.
around my
The
ears.
eye mask goes over the ears, the full wraparound.
Earplugs.
Full wraparound eye mask. She's got her earplugs. She'll be there in her. It's like they look like
Blue light blockers.
her blue light blockers that look like construction workers speed dealer
bought them
shades.
for me.
So she's in a thing. So when the blue light blockers come off, her eye mask comes on. Sometimes she's got the mouth tape so she can't, it has to breathe through her nose. She'll be in a robe and she'll have like 5 layers of blankets on, and I'll be like there in like my boxers and just this tiny sheet because she's freezing at night and I'm super hot. And then I'll roll over and look at my watch and it's like 7:55 p.m. I'm like, oh my God. Sometimes I'll wait for her to go to sleep and then I'll slip out of the bed and like go like do shit in the living room for a bit, and then I'll come back and then like in the morning she'll be like, "I know you left for a bit last night."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you are a good sport that you commit to the dialogue every night. Like he
love it.
commits
I love it.
every night. Like I'm just really OCD with my sleep because of my insomnia in the past. That is iconic shit. That's so funny. All right, I want to end with the last few questions. A few about dating apps. How do you make a good profile? What does a guy look for?
I think you should absolutely get guys' opinions on it. So rather than me saying, "Oh, put up things of whatever," like you should go to a couple of your guy mates and say, "Hey, are there any adjustments that you would do here?" So they can look at it and go, "Oh yeah, cool. You should do something that's sporty. You've got 5 photos with all 5 of your friends. Like you got to be more specific." Is there a general theme across it? More than setting up. I'll try and think of something about the specific profile. But like I said at the start of the podcast, it takes a little while for you to get someone to a place where they're comfortable enough, where you actually know who they are. There's so much time wasted on Hinge where it's like, "Hey, oh, how you going? Yeah, good." And it's like, then like the conversation just like kind of dies or you don't get a response. And it's like, there's so much time wasting on there. So, and it's hard to make someone laugh or get them engaged via some text. You got to sit there and think about, okay, here's a thing for your profile. Have something in your profile that can be a talking point. Don't make it your standard, like, you and your girlfriend are sitting there at a cafe, having a margarita. You can absolutely have that. But if there's something unique about you, like, I don't know, maybe you like to play a certain sport. Maybe you like to maybe you love books. The person can say, "Oh, what book are you reading there?" Or just something that allows for the person to have something to work off. Even in the question answer things, try and get something that's a little bit unique about you or that asks the person a question like, what's your go-to song on a Spotify playlist? And the guy's like, "Oh, cool. Actually love this song right now. I can type that in." And then it just gives them something to work with, because it's very, very tough to spark up a conversation, to engage someone and make them laugh or make them want to keep talking when you're just working over text. It's hectic.
Yeah, that's really good, babe. I love that. All right, well, the last question is, what makes a girl approachable at a bar?
I think that the standard thing for a girl to do is make eye contact, smile.
It's so much harder. Like eye contact, I think you get scared, but I think it is really powerful.
If you think making eye contact with the guy is scary, imagine the guy having to walk over to you and your friends and say, "How are you going?" Like,
I guess, yeah, the eye contact's like a little bit of a flirt.
yeah, make eye contact, a little bit of flirting, move around the bar a little bit, or don't like get yourself stuck into a corner the whole time. Move around and like, yeah, I guess like guys want to go and talk to girls. They really do. And
What do guys talk about at bars? You see them all there huddling. What are they talking about? They talking about girls or sport? Or a bit of both.
Girls, sport. I mean, the conversations can vary massively depending on what you and your friends bond over in the first place. Like, I've got some mates where it's just wild and we just go and have fun together. I've got some mates that are sort of like my group of friends where we're trying to grow and build and that sort of thing. We start talking about things where it's like, you know, whether it's companies or markets or whatever. But to be more approachable to guys in a bar, I guess it kind of ties back to one of those first questions of the guy doesn't have to go up to you. You can go and say hello to the guy. Girls in big groups are often more intimidating than girls in like by themselves, 1, 2 girlfriends. And make sure you got some chicks around you that are going to have your back. Man, the amount of times that you go over and say hello to a girl and the cock blocker flies in, ruins that. It's all the time. And it's like, why do you want to, is your friend single? I guess it's like partially, oh, you want to test the guy. Can he handle a bit of banter? Is he going to stand up for himself? What moves is he going to pull out? It's like, why don't you just be nice to the guy and say hello? And then if he's, you know, not right, not giving you any value, you're not finding like you want to continue the conversation, just say politely like, hey, it's been so nice meeting you, but me and the girls are having a girls' night tonight, but I appreciate you coming over. I hope you enjoy the rest of your night. Done. If the guy doesn't walk away after you say that, then you can literally do anything you want because he's arrogant or ignorant or whatever. But start off being gentle and make sure that like you can even say to your girlfriends at the start of the night, like, or you know, you're making eye contact with a guy. And it's like, I think he might come over. Hey, girls, I kind of think that this guy looks cool. He's got a nice energy. When he comes over, like, if your friends have a tendency to come in and like, you know, slam people down, like let them know, hey, I actually would like to meet a guy. So let's stick together here and support each other. And if a guy comes up and talks to one of us, then we can actually nurture that and not scare the shit out of him.
Yeah, I wonder if it also is a bit of a jealousy thing that happens because a guy goes up and speaks to one of the girls. Do you think it'd be better if a guy came up and addressed all three?
I kind of think that if you hang around people that get jealous of you, then you've got to consider whether you should keep hanging out with them.
Yeah.
Because jealousy is a really toxic trait.
100%. Yeah. Well, I definitely think kindness is your superpower for both genders.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, baby, I love having you on the pod. Self-Tom goes off.
Self-Tom goes off. You can, hey guys, I just want you to remind you to hit that subscribe button, like, share it with a friend. If you found value in this, leave a comment. What do you want to hear more of?
Yeah.
We're going to have Dom back on the podcast again soon, so you're going to be seeing more from both of us.
Well, with that, thank you guys for listening, and let us know if you want Tom back on the pod.